So what if small business entrepreneurs had a playground? Where would it be? And what would it be like to go there? On this episode of the Real Life Planning Podcast, episode 33, we're talking with Liz Rossilli, who is a sales coach and multi-passionate entrepreneur. And she has started something really fabulous called the Entrepreneur Playground. She's going to tell us a little about it. Liz, welcome. I'm so excited to hear you here this morning.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And it's my first time on a podcast talking about the Entrepreneur Playground. So I'm really excited to talk about it too.
So tell us right up front, I love this idea. What is an entrepreneur playground?
It's like a co-working space. We're using a co-working space as our place. We say it's like the playground. When you go, you don't know who's going to show up. You don't know what you're going to do to play and to hang out and who you're going to meet. And so it's a place to go get your work done. But when you need a break, you can go and sit next to someone you don't know or see someone that you maybe haven't seen in a while. And the energy and just that feeling of, oh my God, I've missed you. I haven't seen you in so long. Or you start talking to someone new and find out you're both have this thing in common and you're trying to grow your businesses, and that collaboration happens. And just that energy in the room we can't get that online now. So we're just trying to do something to bring people together and to get them back out and realizing that you can work and get work done while you're there, but you can also just go, and we usually put a question on the board too.
So getting to this idea of how all these pieces provided what you needed to birth this idea of the entrepreneur playground, right? If you had one piece of guidance for somebody who was coming to the entrepreneur playground for the first time, what would that be?
I would just say, just plan to have fun. Bring your work that you want to get done, but don't come on a day where you have 5 deadlines and you have to go sit in the corner by yourself. Come on a day where you're open to meeting new people, to getting some work done. We all sit close to each other. And then it's okay if you need to ask someone a question, but that you just are looking to just meet new people and just to really get back to the way. I feel like people since COVID are not back the same way they were before. My thing is that this is how you're going to grow your business, by just once again talking to as many people as you can in an environment, knowing it's easier knowing that everyone there is there for the same reason.
So interesting that you and your partners decided to create the Entrepreneur Playground at a co-working space. Co-working in general, how has that benefited you for the times that you've spent in the co-working space?
Yes, her name is Allison Rogers. She owns the co-working space I go to, and she explains it that there's something called mirroring. And if someone across from you is doing something, it's going to be easier for you to do it. I was with a friend of mine, we were co-working, and she pulls out this to-do list thing, and I was like, oh my God, I know it's a really nice looking list. But while she was working, it made me stay focused on working. And I feel like all my desk at home here is a mess, and distractions, the dogs, the laundry, the kids. So when I go to a co-working space, you sit down at a clean desk. The co-working space Blush that I go to, she has extra monitors. So if you're used to having 2 monitors, you can plug in and use one of the monitors. Yeah, she has amazing coffee, really good coffee and flavored waters. And it's just such a nice, it's really clean and bright in there. But working with someone else, there's something about when someone is working, you're more apt to get more work done.
Yeah. During the more shutdown parts of COVID, for example, I and some other planners, we did virtual co-working on Zoom, but that's not the same as sitting quietly next to somebody and just trying to crush it.
I think too, where most of us are in business on our own, even if we're part of a team, we're usually alone. And so if something really great happens, having someone sitting across from you where you can be like, oh my God, just guess what just happened. Someone to share that with is wonderful too. If you had $1 million, what's one frivolous thing you would do with it? And it was fun to see what people put up on the board. I put that I would have someone blow dry my hair out for me every day. Is what I would do. So
that's a lot of blowouts for $1 million. But as somebody who has a few small businesses, both of us each have a few small businesses and real estate businesses as well. I gotta tell you, I see clients all day long on Zoom, and I don't see people in person that much anymore. And I love it when I see people in person. I'm so extroverted. I miss that energy. So I think it's a needed thing. It's a need that you're filling by creating the Entrepreneur Playground. And I'm hoping that you can see this idea in other places around the country, because collaboration creates inspiration.
I totally agree. And I think that, like I said, we're all like, oh, here's all my to-do list. I can't go. Oh, I got to stay and
Mhm.
get this stuff done. But sometimes you need to have that play in your business. So
Mhm.
not like your day at the spa or whatever, but this is a day to go and put yourself out there. Maybe there's someone who's 4 steps behind you and you can meet them and you can mentor them in just a like 20-minute conversation and inspire them to do something, and vice versa.
Mhm.
Maybe you meet someone who's ahead of you. The first, we've done it twice now. The first one, we had a workshop at lunchtime. So I found a speaker to come in and talk to the group. And it was nice. We moved to another part of the co working space and had this great lunch. I bring juice boxes with popcorn and fruit snacks. I brought raisins for the healthy people and like all these
Goldfish, you gotta
snacks.
bring goldfish, yeah.
I had goldfish, so I go to Target and I buy all these snacks. And there's like, I do it with my friend Melissa Turnus and Ryan Ray. And she made cute signs that say this is the sandbox area. So you can go and collaborate over in the sandbox area. And we have snack time. There's just a different energy there than when
Uh,
you're just home and getting the same stuff done.
so you're in North Carolina now, but you and I used to be neighbors in Gladstone, New Jersey. And one of the things that I noticed about you when I first met you is that you're a connector, right? You put people together. So you're a connector in your personal and community life, you're a connector in your profession, you're a connector with your clients. Does that resonate with you?
Oh, yeah. People say that for a while I was called like a professional networker. I feel that I am definitely a connector and I love
Hmm.
to put the pieces together. And I have this, I just did a post recently on LinkedIn about asking if people like digital or paper business cards. And I'm a
Hmm.
paper business card person because I might
Ah,
not remember your name, but I'll remember what your card looked like. I can visually see it. So then I could be like, I'll meet someone and I'll remember something about you and I'll have to go through all my business cards, but I'll
uh,
find and I'll make that connection. That's part of my passion is making those
mhm.
connections and just finding ways to add value and help other people.
And you're also, I think, a natural hostess, right? You're a welcomer, right? So if you're in a room with 100 people, you will find the 10 people that don't know anybody and make sure that they know each other. So how has this informed starting this business that you're currently focusing on now, Sales Savvy?
Because once again, like I do a lot of networking. North Carolina, there's a ton of opportunities to network. And so I
Mhm.
run a women's empowerment group down here, big. I have big going down here. I am part of some other networking groups. But like networking, you show up, you have to feel like you have to share cards and talk to so many
Mhm.
people. Where a co working day has a different feel because you're in there for a while, you're going to work. But for me, for business, it's just like one of those parts of giving back and just
Mhm.
feeling like I'm trying to make a difference in my community. And there's people that have never done networking before and they show up. It's great
Mhm.
for them to like, it's overwhelming the amount of people that want to talk to them and learn about their business. And so it's just a great way to share your passion. And so that helps me because part of sales is getting out there and networking and
Mhm.
outreach. So it just helps me to show people like you don't have to stay home and just be focused on what's
Mhm.
your next post online. You can get out there and talk to people and build
Yeah.
those, it builds deeper relationships, is what it's all
Right.
about.
It's the relationships that get results in business. Even if we're selling a product, in my opinion, and that it's building relationships, your relationships with your customers or your clients, the relationships with other people in your industry or profession. It's the relationships, I think, that get results. Right? So keep
Mhm.
being a little bit more personal in your day-to-day business. So how would you work with a client at Sales Savvy? What's a typical situation where somebody comes to you, and then how do you try and coach them?
One of the programs I'm doing now is called the VIP experience.
Mhm.
We talk ahead and figure out what their issues are, where they're struggling in their business, where their blocks are. Then I plan out a day and we usually do either 2.5 hours one day and 2.5 hours the other day, or we just do we crushed through 4.5 hours of just like sitting down and coming up with action items and working through these issues, and doing that in a one day with then the follow up in a couple of weeks to see how all that implementation is going. But usually people just need someone to listen to their, like, where they are, and to say out loud, if you don't feel comfortable with what you're selling, like whether it's a product or a service, if you can't articulate exactly what it is, then how is someone else supposed to understand that? So we break that down, we go through what the program or the product is, what the pricing is, and then who's your audience, who is it you're trying to get to, and how's the best way to reach out to them.
I've always thought in my career, I've always thought of the sales or marketing component to be like matchmaking. So for example, in my financial planning business, I work with real estate investors. And when I have discovery calls with people, they're taking me for a test drive. I'm taking them for a test drive. And we're trying to see, am I their person? Am I a good fit? And if I'm not their person, I just refer them to somebody else, right? Maybe they don't fit into the niche of people that I'm best to serve to help, or possibly it's just not a super great personality fit. And then I want them to find their person. Like
Right.
just continually making offers, hopefully in an efficient way, till you find your people. Every product or service has a group of people that needs it, that they can really benefit from it.
Yeah. And I think it's building those relationships, talking to as many people. And you don't have to, it's not like you have to sell, you just have to share your passion. That's all you're doing, is share your passion with what you do with as many people as you can. And because the person you're talking to might not be your ideal client, or might not be someone who needs your services, but who do they know? And if you've built that relationship, the person you're talking to is going to be like, you know what, I really want to help Cynthia out. Like, who do I know? And they're going to go out of their way because now you have a relationship with them. So most of my clients are actually, most of them are local, because I do so much and I'm always giving and I'm always trying to help others. So it might not come back today and it might not come back tomorrow, but I believe in the karma of business, and that eventually I do it just because I enjoy it, but that eventually I get those referrals. I sit next to the right person at an event, and that person is struggling with their business, and we have a call, and it's a good fit.
I think that's a really good point, Liz. It's something you do naturally for all the years that I've known you. You look at networking or building relationship as a give first, right? How can I help somebody else, as opposed to going to an event and seeing how people could help you? And I think that's a really, just for anybody who's listening, who's maybe struggling a little bit with getting clients or getting customers. So you think when you go to the chamber meeting or the real estate group meeting or whatever, how can I help this other person get what they need? But it tends to come back to us, I think.
Yeah, if I can recommend a book, I've started, instead of reading 20 business books in a year, I try to read 2 to 3 books a year and then fully implement them and then read them again, instead of moving on to the next one, because you can't actually take action. So my book for this year is The Go-Giver Sells More.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. Who's that by?
So it's by Bob Berg. I usually have a copy right on my desk, but
that's good. So we'll link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, there's The Go-Giver, which is like a story, a fable, but The Go-Giver Sells More is more of like action items. It talks about listening, it talks about always giving. And it's just, I read it and it wasn't like it was new information, but it just validated.
Because
I was like,
that's you.
This is what I'm doing. Yeah. So it made me feel like, I don't have to be trying to change the way I sell. Like, this is how I want to sell and how I want to run my business. So it was great. So it's Go Giver Sells More. And you can read Go Giver because they talk about, it's very short. Go Giver is like, you could read it in an afternoon, and it's just a great little story. And then Go Giver Sells More is a great action item book.
This is a really cool takeaway. I think that you've suggested is because those of us who read, we're constantly reading books with great ideas, right? And I love this idea that you have of just picking 1 or 2 and saying, okay, I'm going to work this for a year.
Yeah. Same thing. I will say it's the same thing with courses. Don't keep signing up for another class because you don't have time to fully embrace and take in everything that you just learned and using it. So I think it's the same thing with courses too.
Oh, you are so right on target on that. If you're a reader or a learner, we can overconsume on the course stuff.
Yes, yes,
That being
yes.
said, I would love for you to have your own course. Have you been thinking about that?
I have a membership. I have a membership
Oh,
already
tell us about that.
that
Yeah.
okay, so it's called the Circle of Success, and
Mhm.
it's just $47 a month because I don't want money or time to get in the way from people being more successful in their
Mhm.
business. And it's an online course, and then we do monthly group calls together and to
Oh,
talk about, and
oh, that's a
everyone
great
can be
deal.
in a different
Yeah.
place. But it's like, what are you struggling with? Or what are your wins this month? And then
Mhm.
people can go around and talk. But it's bite sized pieces of sales tips. So every
Mhm.
week it would take you probably 10 minutes, if that, every week to
Mhm.
just to build on your sales process. And it's a year-long program.
And you're attracting clients to your business that you can really serve effectively. Tell us a little bit about your process for your business and how that informs how you teach and coach others.
Yeah. Do you mean what type of clients that I bring in
A
or?
type of client who you can best serve, how you reach out to them, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So of course everyone says that referrals are the best, make the best clients, but
Mhm.
we can't all just rely on referrals. When I was starting my membership, for example, I thought, oh, this is $47. I'm going to have all these
Mhm.
people who were in my network are going to just jump in. And doesn't always happen that way. So you have to be like, okay, I need to look at this from a different angle. And I started calling the people that in my network that I knew
Mhm.
could benefit from this, like thinking through who's struggling, busy, doing well in their business, but I know that they struggle with the sales aspect, and just calling them and having that conversation like, hey, I just want to call you and just check in. And I want to tell you about my membership because I think it could be a good fit for you. And
Mhm.
that's how I got most of the people that initially signed up, was because I picked up the phone and called. And I was like, look, I'm taking my own advice, my own sales advice up the phone.
Yeah.
And when I did it, it worked. So for me, it's about who do I have a good connection with? Who have I met? Like I set up vendor events too. And we have something here called LinkedIn Local, which is put on by a
Oh.
LinkedIn trainer.
Mhm.
And I sponsor that. So I have a table and get people to come by the booth. And I will say that my best advice, if you do events, is the follow up. Like, you have to make sure that you get their card or their name and
Mhm.
their email and their phone number, and everybody's busy. So you can't expect people to, oh, we had a great conversation, they're going to call me, right? Or I sent out one email after, and then people are busy. So you have to
Mhm.
continue to follow up. And my advice is, like I say, I would rather have a no than not know. So
Mhm.
I'm going to keep calling until they say no. And before, I'm just sitting there, I called them once and they didn't answer. So they're probably
Mhm.
not interested
Mhm.
because they're probably just busy.
Yeah. And interesting to say that you said that you like on the telephone.
Get out in the world and pick up the phone, because to me, if you
Mhm.
send an email, they're not going to hear your passion over the phone. If they're
Yeah.
interested, but they have a question, they have
Mhm.
to then write you back, and then you have to respond. And who knows if they're still in the same mood. But
Mhm.
if you call them and they hear your passion and then they have an objection or a question, you can handle it right on the phone. And
Mhm.
so I say the phone is just amazing, and probably your competitors are not utilizing the phone either. So you could be
Mhm.
one up on your competition that way too.
No, I think so. In fact, two people called into real life planning yesterday when I was during meetings, and my assistant and I we have not called them back yet. So I guess we're going to put that on the schedule today. What's the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
I come from an entrepreneurial family. So I've been an
Mhm.
entrepreneur for almost 30 years. My
Mhm.
dad was an entrepreneur while I was growing up and always inventing things. He started a company called Cape Cod Polish that my brother still runs. It's a metal polishing cloth,
Mhm.
and my brother still runs it in Massachusetts. And my dad, when I graduated college, we started this company, and I ran the office for a while, and then I went into sales. But there's no roadmap out there when you're starting a new business. You want to
Mhm.
do it your way. And so there were a lot of challenges, a lot of trial and error, a lot of failures. He would always say to me, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And that sticks in my head to this day, of whenever I'm really struggling, I think if it was easy, everyone would do it. And that just gets me through to the next point.
So looking ahead, say over the next 10 years, if everything works out exactly the way that you wanted it to with your business and with these projects that you've inspired in your business, like your membership and the Entrepreneur Playground, for example. What's that look like?
I'm just enjoying every day. I say it's about the journey, it's not about the finish line.
Hmm.
And for me to get up every day, and I do the miracle morning in the morning. So I get up
Hmm.
early, I get my workout done, and I just look forward to my day. And my kids, my youngest is going to go off to college in a year. And so I'll be an empty nester. And for me, it's the first time where I haven't had to have other people with their schedules like ruling
Hmm.
my life. And so my
It's like
husband's
sports
like ready to,
parenting. Yeah.
yeah, he's ready to retire, where I was the one who had to like drive them to school and pick them up from school
Yeah.
and do all the things. And so my day was condensed based on their schedules. And so for me, it's just about the excitement of that I can go full force in my business now, and
Yeah.
just, and then I love being an entrepreneur where I can go to the beach when I want to go to the beach. I can go
Wow.
to Italy with him when he has a meeting in Italy and do these things and run my business from wherever I am. So my 10-year, I hope, is that I still am loving whatever it is I'm doing as much as
Mhm.
I love it now.
Oh, that's so fun. So, speaking of the beach, I understand that during COVID, you branched out into a new business, which is running a vacation rental. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I grew up on Cape Cod, and for the last 25 years, I've missed being on the beach. And we've always talked
Hmm.
about buying a beach house. And then during COVID, I woke up one morning and I said, this is it. And I told my husband, I said, we've been talking about this for 20 years. We're buying a
Hmm.
beach house now. And it was like at the beginning of COVID, which the market wasn't great. There was a lot of uncertainty. And he was like, I don't think this is a good time. Luckily, we bought right before everyone else thought that it's a good idea to buy a beach house, which is good. So it was a good investment. And yeah, it's about 2.5 hours from me. So I bought it for me, but it's a rental. So we get to rent it out. I have a rental company that does the most of the advertising and getting the people
Hmm.
in and out. But I'm enjoying having that and being able, we're going next week for the week, but it's fun to have something like that, that I know that when I'm ready, I can have it not be a rental and just be for us. But in the meantime, it's nice. We were able to take the money that we had made from the house and renovate the whole kitchen. So you have to come back, Cynthia, because now the kitchen is all redone and
Oh.
it's beautiful.
We were there in 2021. I think it was
Yeah.
stunning at that time.
Yeah. So we redid the kitchen, and
Mhm.
it's a place I can go now where you go and you're just, I feel motivated and inspired there too. So I love to work
Mhm.
from the beach also. And I love to go down here. You can go November, December, any
Mhm.
time of year can still be beautiful. So I love that I can go year round there.
You're a Northeasterner, right? How long have you been living in North Carolina? Like 8 years?
8 years now, but we've left and
Yeah.
come back here 4 times since
Oh,
94,
okay.
96. So I've been
Okay.
here
So
for,
you really have
this is,
lived most of your adult life. Okay.
yeah.
In the South, do you find like there are differences in how people do business, or does this affect your sales or marketing in a different way, maybe positive or negative?
I think it's a lot easier here. First of
Mhm.
all, there's so many transplants that you don't really, if you meet someone who grew up in North Carolina, it's the rarity now. But I think when people move down here, there is that slower pace. You could go to the supermarket and the person in front of you could be talking to the cashier for 5 minutes, just having a conversation.
Which
And
I love, but in New Jersey, people would be like
no,
griping
yeah,
about that.
my husband has had issues with that, a little trouble. But I think it's just when you're doing business here, people are more, you might not build the deep connections right away, but people are more open to meeting each other. Where in New
Hmm.
Jersey, when I lived there, I felt like people there were a little more closed off. They weren't as used, like new people coming in and just being like, hi. And there's a lot going on here, a lot of events. So people who are
Oh,
in
part of,
that networking world,
yeah,
yeah, it's a lot
yeah,
going on here.
yeah. So you're in the Raleigh, Durham, Cary area, right? Which is just probably since you moved there, it's
Booming.
probably doubled in size, I would guess. But
It's, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
uh,
we have a lot of pharma down here, a lot of bioscience, everything. And like Apple is coming. They're building a whole campus down 10 minutes from my house. So there's a lot of like business stuff happening here.
hmm,
So it's really easy to go find if you're looking for something to go find it. But
hmm,
some of the networking events feel a little more, like I said, transactional, where I'm
hmm,
looking to build relationships because I want to know you, to know how, and the question always is, how
hmm.
can I help you? That's the first question. So if you're a good listener, the networking, you can do well because people do like to talk about themselves.
So Liz, where can we find you online, and where can you find information about your firm, Sales Savvy, and also about the Entrepreneur Playground?
So LinkedIn is my place to be. I like to post on LinkedIn. So it's just my name, Liz Rossilli, on LinkedIn. I do have a website called getsalessavvy.com. And that lists all my programs. Facebook and Instagram, things like that. I find them, I'm on there, but not as much for business. I find them difficult to control what people see. I feel like LinkedIn, if I post something, people are more apt to see it. I feel like on LinkedIn too, you still need to be yourself because people buy from people. So don't just post like the image of your firm or like a stock photo. Like, they need to see you and get to know who you are too. So I'm not, some people are a little nervous about doing that on LinkedIn, but I just like to do a post or a video and then just hit go before I have a chance to think.
Thank you so much for talking to us this morning about all things entrepreneur. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, either the next time you're up here or I'm in North Carolina. And if you're listening, if you found this useful, please go ahead and hit subscribe for notifications of future episodes. Thanks very much, Liz.
Thank you.